Star Trek has always worn the mask of space adventure while quietly doing something far more daring underneath. From the outside, it looked like a show about starships, aliens, and bold captains exploring the unknown. But episode after episode, it used science fiction as a safe distance to talk about fear, power, illness, cruelty, political violence, and the uncomfortable truths people often prefer to ignore. That ambition made Star Trek timeless, but it also made broadcasters nervous, especially in countries where the show was scheduled in early evening time slots meant for families and children. In the UK and Ireland in particular, Star Trek frequently aired at hours when juveniles could easily be watching, which meant that episodes touching on disease, madness, torture, mob violence, or real-world political echoes were scrutinized far more heavily than they were in other regions. What's important to understand is that these episodes were rarely judged as bad television. Instead, they were considered too intense, too disturbing, or too politically sensitive for the time of day. As a result, several stories were quietly withheld, delayed for decades, or only aired in edited or late-night form. One of the earliest and most unsettling examples comes from Star Trek, the original series with the episode Miri. The Enterprise responds to a distress signal from a planet that appears to be an exact duplicate of Earth. From orbit, everything looks familiar: continents, oceans, even city layouts. But when Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Janice Rand, and two security officers beam down, the familiarity becomes eerie rather than comforting. They arrive in what looks like a deserted mid-century American town, the kind of place that should be full of people, noise, and daily life. Instead, the streets are silent. Swings creak in the wind. Buildings stand empty. The calm shatters almost immediately when a grotesquely scarred man attacks the landing party in a panic, collapses into violent convulsions, and dies right in front of them. Moments later, they encounter a frightened little girl named Miri, who runs away screaming about groups, her word for grown-ups. Slowly, she explains that all the adults on her planet are dead and that only children remain. As if that revelation weren't disturbing enough, the crew soon notices purple blotches forming on their own skin. Miri calmly explains that these lesions are the first sign of the disease that killed all the adults, an illness that begins with madness and ends in death. As McCoy investigates old research facilities, the horrifying truth comes to light. The planet's former scientists created a life extension treatment that dramatically slowed aging but fatally weakened the immune system after physical maturity. The result was a civilization where children survived for centuries while adults died horribly. The kids running the planet aren't actually kids at all. Many are more than 300 years old, aging only 1 month every 100 years. Yet mentally and emotionally, they are frozen at a childish level, incapable of long-term responsibility or empathy for anyone outside their group. As McCoy races to create a cure before the disease claims the Enterprise crew, the children's fragile social order collapses. A boy named John takes control, sabotages communication equipment, cuts the landing party off from the ship, and whips the others into a frenzy fueled by jealousy and fear. Miri herself helps capture Janice Rand, while the children eventually swarm Kirk, beating him until he is bleeding and furious. The turning point doesn't come from strength or threats, but from Kirk pointing out a devastating truth. If the older children let the adults die, the youngest ones, the babies and toddlers, will be left helpless, with no one to care for them. That realization breaks the mob's unity. The communicators are returned, McCoy tests the vaccine on himself, and the cure works. Life can move forward again. Despite its hopeful ending, the episode's imagery of dead bodies, contagious disease, psychological breakdown, and children committing brutal violence deeply unsettled broadcasters. In the UK, BBC reportedly aired the episode only once in 1970 before complaints followed, and it was left out of repeat runs for decades, not resurfacing regularly until the early 1990s and much later on specialty channels.